following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
This Social Security measure gives at least some protection
for anybody to hand this out. We're asking for a chance to have the people who will receive the benefit to earn their way. The same principle established under the Social Security system in this area.
It is no longer acceptable to discuss women's rights as separate from human rights.
I know we can come together to face down the challenges of our own time.
Hi. Welcome to another edition of Us Democrats. I'm Representative Cindy Rosenwald from Nashua's Ward 3, and I'm really excited because with me today is candidate for Ward 3 State Rep Alan Cohen, someone I've been trying to get to run alongside of me for a few years now, and we were finally successful this year. Alan, welcome to the ticket.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here.
Great. Well, this is your first time on the show, and so why don't you tell us a little bit about you? How long have you lived in Nashua? Where'd you come from? Why'd you come?
My wife Ellen and I have lived in Nashua for nearly 35 years. I come from Massachusetts and was brought up here in 1980 to work for Digital Equipment Corporation. And I worked for them until 1994. And
always in the same house in Nashua, or did you live somewhere else?
When I first moved here, I lived for a couple of years in Exit 1, and then in 1983, we moved into our current house.
So you moved north?
Yeah. Fashionable.
From one end of the city to the other.
To fashionable Exit 7.
Right. So you've lived here a long time.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've seen the city change a lot over those several decades by now. What did you do at Digital, and then did you have a different job?
Yes, I was primarily in sales and marketing with Digital.
And after you left Digital?
I did go through a career change. Most of my career for the last 20 years has been in human resources. And I've been a staffing consultant and other kinds of things in the staffing industry.
And are you retired now?
I am, just recently retired.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here as well.
And we're glad you're not taking it easy.
I'm not. It's not, I don't think, in my nature to do that. I still want to stay active. I want to stay relevant. And I'm delighted to get the opportunity and humbled to get the opportunity to run for state rep.
So you've done some volunteer work
I
in
have.
the recent past. You want to tell us about that?
I've enjoyed all of the volunteer things that I've done. I formerly was on the executive council for AARP New Hampshire, one of 8 people representing about 225,000 members in the state. I was formerly on the board of directors of the Nashua Historical Society, and I did a lot of volunteer work at New Hampshire Public Radio and was working on the radio program called The Exchange.
Okay. I've been on that program. I don't
Yes,
think you were volunteering that day.
Not then, yeah.
And what issues are you very interested in as you look forward to serving in the State House?
Well, from my platform, not as an elected official yet, I am really interested in maintaining the economic growth of the state, of doing everything to stimulate ideas that would make this place a good place for businesses to establish themselves. I am interested in encouraging young people after they finish their schooling to stay here in New Hampshire. And I certainly like the initiative of Work, Stay, and Play New Hampshire. And also, I want to do everything that I can to protect seniors and allow them to age in place gracefully and with dignity, and to provide all the services necessary for them to do that.
Well, we're one of the oldest states.
Yes, we are, number 3.
And we're in one of the oldest counties.
Right, and Nashua is one of, and Ward 3 is one of the oldest wards in the city.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Per the Telegraph.
Well, then I'm sure that it's true. I noticed as I've walked the ward in the past, ringing doorbells, we do have a lot of elders
Yes.
living in the ward in their own homes. Many of them very successfully, very engaged in the communities, and they're often home when I ring their doorbells, and they're delightful to meet. What do you hear from the elders that you've encountered through your work, your advocacy work with AARP?
Well,
what is it they want?
And not only that, as I've begun to walk the ward as well, and have also found lots of people to be at home during the day, and they are delightful to engage with, and are interested in understanding what services are available for them, what things that that they can still request that they need. In most cases, every time seniors are surveyed, their number one need above all else is health care. Health care is a number one concern. But surprisingly, number two, and far above any others, is mobility, transportation, getting around. Some seniors are not able to drive, and public transportation in Nashua could, although a good, solid service, could perhaps be improved somewhat.
Housing is not as big an issue as mobility?
Well, the folks who are currently living in their own homes and are able to afford to do that and are able to afford the services necessary to maintain them there are fine. People that are on a fixed income and are not able to stay in their homes any longer or need additional assistance, for them, housing is a very big issue.
So you feel we don't have enough senior housing that's affordable to someone on fixed income?
I'm really not sure about what the waiting list is on that. I know there are certainly lots of options for seniors in Nashua all along the economic scale, from fixed income housing and subsidized housing all the way
to
up.
Very expensive housing.
In some cases.
So what is the transportation that's available, you know, if you don't have your own car, let's say, and you're living by yourself in a home, what are you going to do? Are you dependent on your neighbors? Are you taking that city bus? Or
all of the above: family, friends, city transportation. Some people have mobility issues even to walk to the bus stop and are not able to wait there for the bus.
Especially in bad weather, I can't even imagine.
Especially, yeah. So transportation really is a really big deal, and oftentimes people who cannot get around are not able to make their doctor's appointments, are not able to pick up their prescriptions, are not able to go grocery shopping. It really is more of a concern than a lot of people would know.
Well, I can imagine that, you know, if you're living by yourself and you're not able to take care of yourself, you can't get to the grocery store, so you have nothing to make to eat, or you can't get to your doctor's appointment, you can't fill your prescriptions.
To say nothing of the problems of just socialization.
Well, yes, isolation, I think, is...
Isolation, terrible.
Yeah, it's a long, dark, cold winter, too.
True.
And I know from my own policy experience that isolation among the elderly is really a problem.
Yes, it really is.
But it seems to me that if you can't get out of the house and you can't shop for yourself, you can't cook for yourself, you can't get to the doctors, you might end up not being able to stay in your house.
Yes.
And then you're looking at something that is not your own place, not as affordable. It doesn't give you the independence that you want. It's not your own home. It's more of an institutional setting, perhaps. That's not really what our seniors want, is it?
Nor what they deserve.
Right.
Yeah. So there aren't terribly many options. Some years ago, I got together with a group of local business people, and we tried to start an independent transportation service here in Nashua. and worked hard at it, was able to raise what I thought was an incredible amount of money, but it wasn't nearly enough to get the thing off of the ground, and regrettably, we had to shut it down and return all of the donations that we received. It was a nice experience to meet all those people and work with them and work within the city infrastructure, and a transportation system like that would certainly be beneficial in the future.
You think that's something maybe that you'd want to keep working on when you're elected?
Absolutely so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what else are you hearing as you walk around the ward now? What are you hearing from people?
People are interested in taxes. They're interested in the growth of the economy, and just the continuation of the good independent quality of life that they're able to have here in Nashua and in the state of New Hampshire.
Well, you know, I think we have a vibrant community of older people in New Hampshire who have lived in the ward, at least.
Yes.
The ones I know, for a long time. Many of them in that house since it was built, or some of them it was their parents' house. And they're committed to the neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
And they are just an integral part of those neighborhoods. They don't want to leave. We
have several neighbors where we live in, and we've lived since 1983. There are several neighbors around us who were there longer than we are, and watched their kids grow and get through school, and now their grandchildren come to visit. And it's a really nice, mature neighborhood.
Well, it really says a lot about a neighborhood when people stay that long.
Indeed, and it's a very pleasant place to live.
I remember when I first moved to Nashua in 1988, my elderly neighbor across the street said to me one day, "I remember when your house was a cow pasture. I used to play in it with the kids in the neighborhood." It was so great to have neighbors who had lived around me for so long and yet were so welcoming of me and my husband and our one-year-old son at the time.
Yeah.
They, you know, loved hearing the voices of children playing in the street, and they were the neighborhood elders. And now I think I'm becoming the neighborhood elder, and they were my role model. Some of these people.
I was just talking to one of my neighbors today, who is the unofficial neighborhood historian, who remembers when a lot of the houses in our neighborhood were not houses at all, but forest, and remembers one house after another slowly being built. And it's really kind of fun to talk to someone that has that kind of history and perspective in the neighborhood.
Absolutely. So. Is there anything else you want to talk about today?
Well, I'm really delighted to have the opportunity to run.
Great.
And more than that, I'm delighted to get a chance to walk around and meet my neighbors all over the ward. And I've started doing that, and I'm looking forward to that with great enthusiasm.
It's really fun.
It is really fun. Most people are very welcoming and delighted that you take the time and the trouble to knock on their door and meet them. And I've solicited whatever I can about issues with the state. And most people, they just want to maintain what we've got. They like where they live. They like what the state has done, what the city has done for them. And they're looking forward to many more happy years here, as am I.
Well, that's great. I mean, some people say that you should not ring doorbells on Sunday afternoons when the Patriots are playing. So I know that tonight you should not be out ringing doorbells because the Seahawks are playing.
Yes, as we're taping this on Thursday.
That's exactly right. Well, thank you so much for coming in today, and good luck in November.
Very much. And I look forward to seeing you in Concord.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on another edition of Us Democrats. I'm Representative Cindy Rosenwald, talking today with candidate for State Rep from Ward 3, Alan Cohen. Thanks for being with us.
This Social Security measure gives at least some protection
for anybody to hand this out. We're asking for a chance to have the people who will receive the benefit to earn their way. The same principle established under the Social Security system in this nation.
It is no longer acceptable to discuss women's rights as separate from human rights.
I know we can come together to face down the challenges of our own time.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.